questions?
I feel like maybe I missed it, but I feel like it's sort of a bit about why, like actually why to promote and talk about how. I was going to call you what, I mean,
Dan, I was hoping you wouldn't notice.
What do you think, what's actually that we're looking to bring into and hoping to promote?
Well, my personal big issues are the point where politicians get elected through religious groups. I mean, we've got one family first senator, and when it gets to the point where important decisions in society are being made because of religious reasons, I'm one of the atheists who go, yeah, people can believe what they want, but when it starts affecting me, that's an issue. And not that I want to marry a man or I'm ever going to have an abortion, but people, whether they're good things or bad, need to be able to make that decision based on whether they're a good thing or a bad thing, not because God said so. And so, while we still got people who are voting for politicians purely because God said so, and while there are politicians who are voting one way because that's what their church says, that's an issue. And the only way that I can see of addressing that is by getting enough people passionate about this and getting them organised and saying, no, this is wrong, keep religion out of this. And I forgot the second half of my point, sorry, I talked for too long and my brain can't keep up.
Basically, we just shouldn't accept people promoting ignorance and virtue, no matter what the outcome is, promoting and accepting ignorance as virtue to uphold is wrong.
Yeah, and beyond that. Yeah, and beyond that, I like people thinking about what they're actually doing. Whether they keep doing the same thing, it might be unfortunate, but at least they've thought about it. But then again, I want to be a teacher, so I like making people think. That probably didn't really answer your question, but we can talk more later.
I'm just wondering, in a general sense, what's the opinion of issues not necessarily associated with God? So, a point that was brought up before is this rationalist stream of atheism. Like, for instance, a person can be an atheist and believe all kinds of really wacky, somewhat dangerous stuff. It doesn't seem to necessarily just come down to godlessness. It may also come down to a level of critical thinking.
No, that's certainly, if you want to come up and help me answer it, go for it. No, that's certainly true. As we said, atheism, strictly speaking, is just the lack of belief in God. It doesn't say that you don't believe in horoscopes or fairies or whatever else. Usually they go hand in hand because, well, either the atheists are usually two types. They've either never had any kind of religious indoctrination and so never consider it. And they're probably the ones that are more susceptible, in my opinion, to believing the more far out wacky things.
Fairies at the bottom of the garden.
Or those that have had some kind of religious indoctrination and have grown out of it or have thought their way out of it, and they're the ones that are more likely to think, well, I used to believe that this specific God exists, now I don't. What about the tooth fairy? What about the fairies at the end of the garden? And I've forgotten what the rest of the point was again, I'm sorry.
Well, I think to some extent it's just basically a question is that, yes, there are the atheists out there that maybe believe a great deal of things that in some ways might be just as much of a liability for good decision making as the belief in or not.
Well, then we need to campaign against those crazy things as well.
Yeah. So in which case it's not just about godlessness, it's about critical thinking.
Yeah, certainly. And I'm... Okay. I can't phrase that as well as you did. Just for the sake of the video then. The question is whether we also need to promote, or rather should be promoting critical thinking or reasoning over just pure godlessness, because there are the overlap of people who are atheists and, well, no, I'm just going to call them crazy anyway. I've already started insulting people, why stop now? And certainly I'm all for promoting critical thinking and reasoning, but we're here talking about atheism, so that's where I structure the talk. I certainly don't want, if there is any kind of campaign about atheism, I wouldn't want it to just be stopping churches or or explain why there might not be any sort of God. I want people to think about all sorts of things and question our arguments. I don't want somebody to be an atheist just because that's what they've always thought either. I want them to think about that. And if in the odd case there's an atheist who questions why they're atheist and becomes religious, I'd be surprised, but at least they thought about it. I'd rather have people think and be wrong than be stupid and be wrong.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. I'm just rambling.